Our next witness is Celli, founder and CEO of the Northeast Veterans Business Resource Center in Boston, which trains veterans to strengthen and grow small businesses. Mr. Celli, you'll be recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Schuler, Ranking Member Ludemeyer, and members of this committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present my views on the SBA and their entrepreneurship development programs as it applies to the veteran community. As CEO of the Northeast Veterans Business Resource Center, I've been able to gather data, case histories, and research important to veterans entrepreneurship. Our network of veteran business owners, state, federal, and community-based leaders totals more than 12,000 stakeholders that we maintain contact with on an annual basis. My testimony today is a reflection of this work as I represent this community. The United States has brought freedom to more people than any other country in our nation's in history. That freedom was bought and paid for with the sacrifices of our veterans. In his book, The American Patriot's Almanac, William J. Bennett describes patriotism in this way. Patriotism brings an obligation. It involves actions, not just feelings. Occasionally, being a patriot means putting national interests before self. Here's when patriotism can be a hard virtue to live up to, when it involves sacrifice. The signers of the Declaration of Independence, for example, put their fortunes, their safety, and their sacred honor on the line for something greater than themselves. September 11th reminds us that there will always be tyrants, madmen, and bullies who hate American ideals, and President Harry Truman once said, "Freedom calls for courage and endurance, not only in soldiers, but in every man and woman who is free and determined to remain free." We ask the patriots of this committee, our Congress, and our government to make the hard choices necessary to support, defend, and enable our nation of veterans and their families, who, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, represent more than 10% of the total U.S. population. In 1945 and 46, millions of Americans took off their uniforms after World War II and came home to a job market that was shrinking because the war no longer provided economic stimuli. In 1953, the Small Business Act created the Small Business Administration. The act was created to encourage and promote small business growth and free competition. But still, large firms which grew powerful as a result of war production had a tremendous advantage over smaller startup companies, and the SBA was supposed to help level that playing field. While small business collectively represent 97% of all employers and are responsible for the majority of all corporate tax deposits, we're still just a community of individuals. Big businesses have an unequal ability to immediately influence opinion, whether legislatively, through public advertising, or private investment in the political process. To give you an idea of just how unbalanced this divide really is, when we talk about small businesses, we think about micro-enterprises, the local landscaper, barber, hardware store. But what many Americans don't realize is that by federal standards, a business is small if they have less than 500 employees. And in some industries, it can be as high as 1,500. Where does the voice of the microenterprise or startup venture fit in? More often than not, it doesn't. Despite all the programs and money dedicated for entrepreneurial outreach and development, veterans have consistently remained the most historically under-maximized and overlooked socioeconomic group by SBA. Veteran entrepreneurship programs only started receiving funding in 1999 and have lost federal appropriations every year since. 2009, the appropriations gave us a total of $1.2 million to fund a national network of Veterans Business Center programs, which is down from $2.1 million the year prior. The SBA Office of Veterans Business Development, which is responsible for supporting 5 business outreach centers, received less than $750,000 for the 5th year in a row to support these centers. Veterans face a unique set of challenges when starting or growing small businesses and microenterprises. Due to the multiple transfers and relocations that occurred during a military enlistment, veterans commonly leave the military as renters, never really having the opportunity to purchase a home. Since most new ventures are financed based on personal credit backed by assets, veterans face a major disadvantage trying to start a new business. Military members commonly live in military communities. Their interaction with the civilian economy is usually reduced to consumer spending. They don't have the opportunity to network or acquire industry-specific skills, knowledge, or experience that might be leveraged when starting a new business. Guard and Reserve members, as you well know, are always subject to extended and multiple deployments, which can render any business of nearly any size bankrupt and destitute. Military members are trained with a can't-fail, won't-fail attitude, and often have a false sense of security regarding the level of assistance available as they depart the active military support system. While considering post-military operations, veterans are told that there are entrepreneurial programs and business financial assistance programs out there to assist them once they leave the military. We mistakenly believe this to be true. I also would like to share a story. Two friends graduate the same class of 2001. Both have similar grades. Both are from minority descent. One goes to a trade school for heating and air conditioning, and the other one joins the military, trained in heating and air conditioning, and deploys to Iraq. The first guy who went to trade school works as an apprentice for 4 years, starts a small business. That business then is accepted into the 8A program, Business Development Program, and by 2008 he's servicing multiple federal and state contracts. His counterpart in 2008 leaves the military, tries to start a business using SBA programs available for veterans, and after 2 years is frustrated with marginal support, and the soldier ends up working for the other classmate as a technician because his bills become so far behind that his credit has started to suffer. We're not asking for anything out of the ordinary or special, just a fair and equitable allocation of resources and protections with which to grow, survive, and thrive in the nation that we took times out of our lives to defend. Every veteran in this room, every veteran in the United States, past, present, and future, signed over a blank check, payable on demand to the United States of America, for an amount up to and including my life. The veterans who were never called upon to cash that check come before this committee today and ask, will you support us now and invest in us as we continue to serve and strengthen this nation as corporate taxpayers? I thank you for allowing me to be here with my comments today, and I welcome any